Welcome to week 16 of the pregnancy vlog. This week actually has gone really quickly, I think, the past week. Seems like I was only doing last week's vlog a couple of days ago. So yeah, so it's gone really quickly. Work was quite busy actually, so that's probably helped. And I don't know really, it's just gone quickly. So generally still feeling pretty good. As I said, work was busy last week, so I guess like quite testing and tiring and stuff, but I still, feeling pretty good now, so that's cool. I had my flu jab on Thursday, just gone, and they're at least in the UK anyway, they're vaccinating any pregnant woman. Usually you only get it like if elderly or you've got some certain health problems that, like if you've got flu, you'd suffer more from it. But I think they've been doing it for a few years, and they vaccinate all pregnant women. Like, you don't have to have it, but it's free if you choose to have it. And some of the immunity does pass to the baby, but I did speak to the nurse while I was there, and she said, like, obviously baby's protected inside my tummy, and the stage that we're at anyway, by the time the baby comes out, it would have worn off anyway. But it's more for me because apparently if you do contract flu whilst you're pregnant, you get a worse strain. Not really sure how it works, but obviously don't want that while you're pregnant. So I've had that flu jab. Didn't get any side effects from it or anything. My arm hurt. I did manage to hit it on my car door, so that hurt. But other than that, just like uncomfortable arm for a couple of days if you hit it. No side effects or anything, and fine. We have like, I had flu once. Like, loads of people, if you've not had flu, like, you get a cold, you can get quite nasty colds, to be fair, and like loads of people just so easily say, oh, I've got flu, but until you actually get flu, oh my goodness, like I was one of them. Like, if I got like a particularly nasty cold or anything, I'd say I've got flu. But then probably it was about 5 years ago and I actually got flu. I felt like death. It was awful. Like, your whole body's just like aching. Like, I went to bed, I couldn't lie down in bed because I just felt so ill. Oh, it was awful. I had to go to the out of hours doctors because it's always a weekend that something happens. I had to get antibiotics, and it was awful. So I can't imagine what it'd be like to have that if you're like pregnant. Oh, too much. So yeah, so that's sorted. They do also the whooping cough vaccine, which I think is new this year because there's been like a bit of an outbreak with babies in the UK. Like, a lot of well, I don't know, yeah, I suppose quite a lot of babies have contracted whooping cough and have unfortunately died from it. So they have introduced whooping cough vaccine, which that one is for the baby rather than for me, because most adults have already had the whooping cough vaccine when they were a child, so you're immune to it. Now, I actually got whooping cough when I was 13, almost 14, and it was awful. Like, if you get it as a young child, you get over it a lot quicker. Obviously, babies are different because they're so little, everything. But as a young child, you get it, and it's not too bad. If you get it when you're older, then it is worse. And I suffered like quite a lot. I was in hospital twice. I think I had to be hospitalised with it. And then, like, obviously the after effects were awful as well. So it took a really long time to get over it. Since then, I've had the vaccines for everything. So I am immune to it now. But they will, I think between 28 and 32 weeks of the pregnancy, you have the vaccine. And that gives immunity to the baby. And that will cover the baby then until it has its actual vaccine, whenever that is. So we'll be having that one as well. Like, basically any vaccines that are going during the pregnancy and also for the baby, we're going to have. I know, like, there are a lot of women that are anxious about them, and a lot of women that may choose not to have them. But because of the experience that I've had with whooping cough after not having the vaccine, and I know how awful it is to get that. I mean, the baby's just got to be vaccinated. I mean, everything has a risk, and, you know, some things, there's nothing, like, drastically proven that if you have that, so many babies are going to die, or so many babies are going to get, like, long-term disabilities and things. And the risks of actually getting the illness, and then any effects, long-term effects from that, at least we feel outweigh any risks that there may be. Like, I had asthma for years after that, and I mean, touch wood, I think that has cleared up now. But I suffered quite a lot, so baby is gonna just, you know, one little needle sorted. This week, well, I guess like during the week, but more so like today, my tummy's feeling large. Obviously it's going to be growing, which is the idea. But particularly today, it's just feeling like really tight, and I don't know whether that is like because obviously it's grown, and whether like my skin now is like, you know, quite tight and more stretching. You know, just and it's been feeling like uncomfortable, not like so uncomfortable that it's like painful or like too drastic, but just uncomfortable, like you're aware of it, bit niggly. But it is starting to, I think, like come out of the top, and I want like a little a little shelf so I could put like a bowl of cereal there or something. I think that'd be quite funny, and I can see that's starting to happen now. I'm still waiting for the first person to be brave enough to come up and ask if I'm pregnant. No one's done that yet, but it is, I think now, depending on what I'm wearing. Obviously if it's baggy tops and stuff, it doesn't show as much. But I think it is now, obviously, like, well, fairly obviously a pregnancy bump rather than a bit chubby. So that is good. And I'm waiting. I think probably soon someone will be brave enough to ask. I've had people that have found out and then said, oh, well, I thought you looked a bit pregnant, but I didn't want to say anything. So I've had people say that, but not yet anyone actually come up and just ask outright and risk it. Although to be fair, like, I don't know if I would either, if I, like, the role was reversed, because if that person wasn't pregnant, you've basically just called them fat, and that's really awkward. So we'll see. I've also, like, the other night, I had, like, just under my ribs on the right hand side, like a stitch pain, like when you get stitched, but I obviously hadn't been exercising. I'd just been sat on the sofa, and that was like under my ribs probably for about half an hour or so, maybe an hour. But I've read up on that, and that's apparently part of like the ligaments and stretching and everything, and that did go after an hour or so, as I said, so that's not too bad. I've also noticed now, which is weird because I thought this was more of a first trimester thing, although I didn't suffer from it in the first trimester, but like bladders and going to the toilet, like I don't seem to be able to hold my wee as long now or as well. Sorry if that's too much information, but like you know, like if you're really desperate to go, I get that quite a lot, and I run up to the toilet and there's only like a small amount, and it's like, oh, for goodness sake. So I think it must just be something to do with the uterus growing and the baby growing, and just not as much room for my bladder to fill up as much. But that's a bit weird, because like as far as I know, like frequent urination is more of a first trimester thing, when everything's still really low down, and then as you go into the second trimester, the uterus comes up higher, and so it relieves the pressure on your bladder. But you know, everything's growing in there, and there's not going to be as much room, and as time goes on, obviously there's less and less room, so it does make sense, I suppose. We got, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. We got a letter back from the hospital with the blood test results for the Down screening, and if you watched last week's, I did talk about it on there. What they do is they test 2 separate samples of blood, one taken at 12 weeks and one taken at 16 weeks. And that will tell, then you get a result to tell whether you're either low or high risk. If you are low risk, then as far as they're concerned, that's fine. If you're high risk, then you'd have to meet with the midwives and discuss what you wanted to do with regards to any further testing. But any result that you get, either low or high, doesn't say yes or no, but it just gives an indication. So we got the letter back with the results yesterday, and we are low risk, which is good. So we won't do anything else with regards to that, because there's no reason to worry about it. We've got the anomaly scan, which is the 20-week scan, which is in 3 weeks, and they check the baby there for any abnormalities. So we'll get that out of the way, and as long as everything's fine there, then you just wait another 20 weeks for the baby. And excitement of the week, I think it was Tuesday, I felt the baby for the very first time. Now, I didn't want to get excited at the time because I wasn't entirely sure. It was a different feeling to anything I've ever had before, which is why I'm pretty sure it was the baby. And it felt like, if you know when you go on like a ride, and like a roller coaster ride, and your stomach flips over, it was like that, but on a much smaller scale, and just like confined, just like one little area of my tummy, which was sort of to the right, and just very slightly below my belly button. It was very gentle, and just like felt like a little flip. And then probably about an hour afterwards, I felt like a very, very light flutter, and then that was it for the rest of the day. So I thought, this probably is baby, but I'll wait and see what else happens. And then on Thursday, whilst I was sat at the doctor's, I thought I felt something again, just like a very tiny flutter. And then today, I felt something really freaky, which I'm pretty certain it's the baby, which is like really exciting, but also it was so weird. We were just sat on the sofa watching telly, and it was like central in my belly, underneath my belly button. And like, it sounds weird, but it felt like if you had a snake in your stomach moving under the skin, like going like that, it felt like that. And like, it freaked me out. I was like, oh my gosh, what's that? And like, obviously it's not a feeling that you ever get before from just like normal digestion, anything like that. So I think it's baby wriggling around, which was like so cool. So that's been it for this week. Unfortunately, I'm afraid there's not been major progress happening on the blankie front. I've done like a little bit, I think probably about like one row, or almost one, well not one row, but like one set of squares rather, which I think is about 15 rows or something. but unfortunately not had that much time this week to get that done. Next week, not sure what's happening, so please watch us next week and I'll update you then. Hopefully I would have felt like more movements and stuff throughout the week, so I'll make sure I update you with all of that, and hopefully they're just, you know, going to keep getting stronger and stronger, and in a few weeks time Aiden will feel them hopefully too. Please thumbs up, please subscribe, and I'll speak to you next week.